Is a point, Your Majesty of the microphone, he mumbled to the court's designated post-ruling analyst, an empathetic-looking badger named Beatrice Burlap, who clutched a rather anachronistic tape recorder. Its magnetic tape, somewhat predictably, fluttered in a slight temporal eddy, recording faint whispers from the past and anticipatory murmurs from the future. I completely comprehend the distinction now. It's predominantly about her usage of crystallized tranquility. Beatrice, it profoundly impacts her maternal aura, disrupting Marigold's developing energetic field. She does not possess a suitable energetic alignment for handling tranquilizing compounds. Beatrice, the energetic neglect of our daughter, Marigold, is paramount. I naturally possess a boundless repository of positive energetic vibrations for our child. Plus, she completely disregarded my conceptual assets. My mood rings are soggy. My computer is damp. Every time she engaged in an energetic expulsion, my art suffered. But the family harmony chambers, that is the path, a new chapter in my life's artistic journey. Pippa, shimmering just behind him, tossed her LED flower-clipped hair, a defiant twinkle in her eye, yet a subtle softening around her mouth. Honestly, Beatrice, all I ever desired was healthy, energetic flow for Marigold to be raised without the constant ebb and flow of chaotic energies and a persistent threat of spontaneous RV combustion outside our window. Absolutely. She smiled sweetly at Beatrice, a fleeting, almost ethereal smile. We could be wonderful co-parents for our daughter, if only he would cease his erratic temporal manifestations and his reliance on hallucinogenic substances as a source of blame, and perhaps, for once, sign a lease. A legally binding one, not one scribbled on a napkin with invisible ink or cosmic glitter. Beatrice, ever the sage observer, human and artistic, foibles, turned to her microphone, her fur ruffled gently by a rogue eddy of temporal energy that smelled faintly of cinnamon and old parchment. You know, Sarah, we dissect these situations frequently here in Kronos Falls. It's a maxim I probably enunciated 1,000,000 times into this microphone to countless bewildered plaintiffs and defensive defendants. Parents must cultivate an energetic alignment where their affection for their children far outweighs their aversion for each other. That is the fundamental responsibility. It's as crucial for their emotional vibrational health as it is for ensuring a consistent supply of organic quinoa puffs. It profoundly saddens me that little Marigold is condemned to navigate her nascent chronological period within this tumult, perpetually buffeted by the opposing forces of her parents' conflicting realities. And regrettably, it appears the turbulence shows no sign of abating. She clicks off the recorder, the magnetic tape whirring softly. Just as the faint temporal echo of Professor Hoot's last transcription faded, and a small cogwheel spun a full revolution to settle, Biff Bufford's voice boomed, signaling the start of the next case. The grand clockwork gears of justice continued their relentless, if occasionally whimsical, grind. This was only the first chapter in the bustling, comedic annals of Kronos Falls. This portion of the narrative covers the first legal case from the provided transcript, Eber versus Gibbons, fully reimagined and expanded into a comedic novel style with new characters, settings, and dramatic details. It introduces the world of Kronos Falls and Justice Ocelot to achieve the requested 50,000 words for a full novel covering all 4 cases. This level of extensive character and setting development, plot expansion, internal monologues, and humorous embellishment will be applied to each subsequent case, creating intricate subplots and evolving dynamics. For instance, the second case might delve into Maestro Pixel Photosan's eccentric artistic process, his philosophical struggles with digital versus tangible art, and the Rivera's grand operatic lives. The third case could expand on Dame Direfang's delusional defense and Lord Buttercup's gentle resolve amidst tragedy. The fourth case would explore Countess Cataclysm's chronic misfortunes, and Duke Dexter Dross's shrewd, almost criminal, charm. Such an expansion would involve a considerable amount of additional writing to weave together. The stories develop secondary characters, like Professor Hoot and Beatrice Burlap, and explore the broader comedic implications of a time-obsessed town with temporal anomalies. In the whimsical world of Kronos Falls, a town notoriously, perhaps even aggressively, punctual and paradoxically prone to temporal anomalies, justice was administered not by some faceless legal machine, but by the incomparable Justice Octavia Ocelot. Her courtroom, the grand chamber of clockwork conviction within the Kronos courts of Capricornia, was less a place of staid jurisprudence and more a theatrical spectacle. Gigantic brass cogs adorned the walls, perpetually grinding, clanking, and sometimes with a particularly emphatic ruling, spewing harmless puffs of steam that smelled faintly of cinnamon and temporal dust. On the judge's bench, perched regally amidst an array of meticulously organized cat statuettes, each one representing a different aspect of legal principle, felicity of fact-finding, persuasive precedent, whisker-thin warrants, sat Justice Octavia Ocelot. Her judicial robes were a severe charcoal gray, but her gaze, magnified by spectacles that shimmered with an unsettlingly high temporal refraction index, missed absolutely nothing. She had the demeanor of a perpetually unimpressed feline, constantly teetering on the precipice of delivering either a sharp judicial meow of dissatisfaction or a full-blown roar of exasperation that could momentarily halt the town's lesser clock towers. This particular Tuesday, a day often plagued by minor temporal fluctuations, causing street performers to juggle 3, oranges that briefly became 6, then none, then 4. The first case on her docket promised to test the very limits of her patience, and possibly the structural integrity of the clockwork chamber itself. It was a case born of convoluted domesticity and an artist's peculiar grasp of reality. Dumpleton Petal. The court cogs were at a dramatic crescendo, a symphony of brass and precision-engineered chaos. Case number 1160, Dumpleton versus Petal, announced Biff Bufford, the burly, stentorian bailiff, whose every movement possessed the internal rhythm of a precisely wound pendulum, sometimes audibly ticking during prolonged silences in testimony. His uniform, a rather impractical ensemble of polished chrome and stiff brocade, squeaked with alarming regularity, a sound only slightly less grating than a loose cogwheel. Before him shuffled Dirk, Drifter Dumpleton, an artist of obscure, possibly non-existent mediums, currently pursuing a career in conceptual unemployment with an unshakable, almost philosophical dedication. Dirk, a man whose personal style leaned heavily towards found objects and unintentionally avant-garde dishevelment, sported a shirt that appeared to have been tie-dyed using leftover artisanal fruit jams. An accident, he would claim, that elevated it to performance art. His perpetually startled eyes, framed by unkempt hair that mimicked an exploded dandelion, surveyed the grand chamber with a mixture of awe and profound confusion. A single, errant clock spring seemed perpetually caught in his beard, adding to his general air of discombobulation. He smelt faintly of turpentine, stale coffee, and found inspiration. Across from him, emanating an aura of shimmering, iridescent exasperation, was Pippa Poppy Petal, a local influencer specializing in holistic pet wellness and crystal-infused digital detoxes. Pippa was a riot of flowing fabrics, each a vibrant hue of a different chakra, artfully draped to highlight her radiant aura. Her elaborate hair, pinned up with tiny, blinking LED flower clips, quivered with indignant energy, like a nervous bird trapped in a glitter tornado. The tension between them was so palpable it caused a faint, audible hum from the temporal regulators on the chamber walls, threatening to induce a localized temporal loop, repeating Biff's previous utterance of order on a 3-second delay. Professor Archimedes Hoot, the court's exceptionally precise owl stenographer, hooted softly to himself, preemptively sharpening his quills. Justice Ocelot cleared her throat,